Okay, so we now want to continue with our panel and our moderator. This little lady here, not literally, I mean like this little lady here is one powerful lady. With, yes. Wears a bunch of hats. She is not only the owner, I'm gonna get this right, Hearst Capacity. Did I do it? Yes. In other words, HR. So if you need some HR help, this little lady is your person. She is awesome. She's also she's leading our We Work program for FailSafe-ERA. I know all this information is in your bio, but I'm just highlighting a few things because she's just that good, that powerful. But she's also leading the We Work program for FailSafe-ERA. We Work is a second chance employment initiative so that our clients, our returning citizens can get employment. She is also the person that keeps one of our panelists in check.
You should have done that earlier.
I'm the operations chief of staff, right? For Connect Ministries that you're going to hear more about, and also is in the bio. Connect Ministries is an awesome ministry out here that we are partnering with that is really needed in our community. We talk about recovery home. What else do you do? She's so much. She's a wonderful mother. She's a great friend, and she's just a powerful person in our community that you would want to connect with. Connect. There's something about that word, connect. We got some connectors in the room, right? I know that Lou's a big connector, but actually, this is how we connect. It was through Lou. Lou's one of my board members. I have some of my board members here. Let me acknowledge my board members. Y'all don't fire me, I didn't do that earlier. But we have Lou Kelly is one of our board members. Dr. Jefferson is one of our board members. Antoine Carey is one of our board members. Please don't let me mess up. Who am I leaving out? That's it? Okay.
But it means there's space for more.
We have space for more. You mean my mouth is not big enough? Okay. Okay. Is it working? No. It's because it's crashing.
We can hear you.
I think y'all can hear me, right? I know I have a big voice. But anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge my board members here. Thank you all for your continued support of me here on FailSafe. Again, I must acknowledge my board. I don't want to get fired again. You can fire me. You will be okay.
No.
Yeah, you can fire me. No, but anyway, and then the other person that I'm not taking from Miss Danya, but I will share that I have one other special person in the room. I don't see her here. She must be gone. So we have a replacement, right? So this morning I had the pleasure of introducing my daughter, right? Dr. Melchior. Danya has the pleasure of introducing my granddaughter. Today. So I had to share that. I had to say that. So now I'll get out of the way. And then you do your thing. Thank you, Danya.
Thanks, Judy. Can we give her a round of applause? Awesome. So good afternoon. Again, I'm Jenkins. I'm really honored to be your moderator today. I've been asked to do a lot of things for moderator, host, never. So we'll see how this goes. And Mike will go on and off, and we'll just work through the technical difficulties. If I'm not loud enough, let me know. Welcome to our panel discussion. It's titled Voices of Justice, Healing, and Resilience. Today's dialogue is about lived experience, shared through pain, recovery, and ultimately hope. Each of our panelists brings a powerful and deeply personal perspective on incarceration and the ripple effects. For those who have served time, but not just for those who served time, but we've also got family members here and those affected by crime. So let me take a moment to introduce our panelists. You see my eyes back. Okay, we're back. So Brian Freeman, if you just kind of raise your hand slightly, returning citizen sharing his story of reentry. We've got Allison Mayberry, whose experience as a family member offers valuable insight. Enaya, Melchior, a youth who grew up with an incarcerated parent. And Kimberly, Judy, who brings perspective of someone who is directly affected by crime. We'll hear from each of them with 2 focused questions, and we'll maybe 3 to 4 minutes each question if we can keep it to that. And so, Brian,
loud enough? Yeah. Okay, so, good question. I think it's something that we deal with quite a bit. For me, the challenge was, you know, when you're incarcerated, there is this, you have authority over you. You have you get so used to being told when to go to sleep, what time you need to be somewhere, what time the lights go on, what time the lights cut off. And when you leave, sometimes there's a stigma that goes along with that you want to separate yourself from. You want to be able to stand on your own. You don't want to have somebody telling you what to do. And a lot of times with guys coming home, I know for me, I really didn't want to plug back into any system that looked like what I came out of. Probation, parole. Yes, they had, you know, services and classes and options for me, but it also threw me back under them. You know, you kind of don't want that kind of exposure. Now, I feel like, you know, we have to change that, and I have some recent experiences where I can see that that's changing. And it's changing by letting them know before they leave and doing a better job of teaching them how to self-advocate. So in order to understand what's available for us, we have to understand the systems that are out here. A lot of times people think that they've been targeted, or that there's something, that they're being mistreated because they don't understand the system. And I think that if we focus on understanding the system better, we have the ability to advocate for ourselves. We have the ability to plug into these things that will benefit us. And I really do appreciate that kind of openness where guys come out and they have more options now. They don't necessarily have to go to one place to get better. They can go to multiple places. They can kind of separate themselves from things that are familiar or maybe connected to their trauma. So that was a big problem for me. That I had to get over.
Fantastic. Thank you, Brian, for that. You guys can clap for him. That was all right, so second question, Brian. How do you define success today, and what has helped you on your journey?
So today I find it successful when I measure success about the things that I've gone through that I can share with someone else and help them not have to go through it. Like, I have a successful day if my testimony has helped someone be bold enough to share their testimony and be real about it. I measure success like that. I don't think that it's a cookie cutter thing. I say often that it's not our successes that connects us, it's the way that we handle failure. Whether I live in a trailer and you live in $1 million home, if I lose my stuff, you lose your stuff, we're still both suffering the same, and that's loss. It was my everything. It was your everything. So I don't necessarily know that successes connect us, but I know that the way we handle failure, understanding that we're not unique, understanding that we all go through the same stuff and maybe packaged differently, but at the end of the day, it's how we process the emotions that we deal with. So yeah, I hope I answered that.
That was great. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Allison, thank you for being here. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Awesome. How does your loved one's incarceration affect you emotionally, financially, and socially? I know that's loaded.
Yeah, thanks. Is it working?
No.
No? Okay.
Choose yours.
I'll try to project.
So we can wait for it.
Or she'll just
Solid.
share with me. Maybe, maybe not. I'm just gonna talk loud.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay. It rocks my world. I'm still married to my husband, and it was a complete shock to myself, my family, my friends, and in the world that we live in now, thanks to social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that different kind of things, we're prone to it. So I sat and the kids call it doom scrolling now, go through things, and just read all the horrible comments about my husband. He's The system is completely broken, and until you're a part of it, you read articles and you're like, oh, they did something wrong, they deserve to be put there. Yeah, I still am an advocate of if you did something wrong, you do deserve to be punished. But I also don't believe that a judge should be able to wake up one morning and if he's in a good mood, give somebody a 6-month sentence, but if he's in a bad mood, give them a 5-year sentence. I don't think if somebody does something wrong, that they should get like 250 years, which I think was what my husband's sentence was, and that's ridiculous. Sitting in the class that I just sat in on the families, they talk about 70%, and like it blew all of our minds. 70% of kids that have a parent incarcerated is gonna end up incarcerated. And that's a horrible number. And so I have 4 kids, and I can tell you, our motto through this whole thing was that I was absolutely not gonna allow them to be a statistic, that they were going to be a success story. Because I think there's so many of us that you can get trapped in that hole of, well, this just happened, my husband paid for everything, I was a stay-at-home mom, how am I gonna pay for this? I'm just gonna lay in bed and not do anything anymore. And as a parent, you gotta, what's that sign, put your big girl panties on, and you gotta get up and you gotta take care of everything. And that's exactly what we did. So, unfortunately, things happen, and you just have to, you've gotta pick your head up, but it's not easy. I will tell you, I made a vow to my husband. He's been home for 2 years now, and I thought it was hard while he was gone. I think the hardest part is them coming home, because you have expectations and you think things might be different or things might be the same, and everybody's journey is different, but it is hard, and you have to make a decision if you're committed to follow on that journey. But as a family, you also have to get plugged into groups that will help you, because you may have a great support group. I had an incredible support group, but none of those people went through incarceration. And it's just like if, I'm not comparing, but I am. It's just like if you have cancer, you want to be surrounded with people who've gone through the cancer journey and can walk that with you. Until you've gone through something like this, you want to sit in a room of women that will tell you, yes, answer that phone call. Oh no, he's trying to get extra money from you. You want to sit with those people that will help you. So it was hard, but you get through it.
So you talked a little bit about having a supportive network and a group of folks. What do you feel was most helpful to you? And was it a group? Was it one? Was it prayer? What was most helpful throughout your transition and going from having everybody in your household to now being the wife of someone incarcerated?
I would have to say it was my faith, 100%. You don't have faith, I hope you can talk to somebody who has a relationship with God. I know some people who don't kind of look at you differently, but there's absolutely no way I would have made it through this without faith. I can also tell you that for a group, it would be 3 things. It would be my faith, it would be my alcohol family. I had wonderful girlfriends. I think women in here will understand it. I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable. The day that my husband was arrested, for like 2 or 3 days, I didn't want to eat, I didn't want to get out of bed. And I had wonderful friends that literally got me up, put my kids out to school, put me in the shower, helped me brush my teeth, because you just think life's over. You've been with your spouse for so long, and what are you going to do? Your life just imploded. And then I have to say Juanita and FailSafe. God, I just looked through and I should have tried. Because I found out about FailSafe and reached out to them, and she reached right back, and then I didn't call her. You ever have one of those things where you need help, but you don't want help? That was Juanita. And Juanita chased me for probably a year. And you ever get those phone calls and you're like, leave me alone, don't call me. And again, it goes back to fate. I'm glad that she didn't leave me alone, because she introduced me. Sorry, y'all, you wanted real, right? She introduced me to some amazing people. And to be around people like Brian, people that have gone through the system, that are out and respectable and making, jobs and helping other people, that that's what I want my husband to be able to do. And when he said sharing your story, nobody wants to talk about their trash. You know, nobody wants to talk about the bad thing. We all put masks on every day, right? But to be able to share our stories, so if somebody does go through this, or there's another child that goes through this, I want to be able to help them. Because no kid should ever have to go through it, and no spouse should ever have to go through it. But we're going to, because people make stupid decisions. So there needs to be people there to be able to kind of walk alongside them. So yeah, Juanita definitely kept me going, so appreciative for that.
Thank you so much. Enaya, I'm so grateful that you're sharing this experience with us today. Y'all give it up for Enaya. All right, so Enaya, question number one, how did having a parent incarcerated impact you?
Sorry, I'm
Take your
emotional.
time.
I got my first one, so I'm ready. My dad's incarceration. It left me with a sense of longing and almost desperation. I had always dreamed of a life with just me, my mom, and my dad, but I never had that because of my father's incarceration. He was incarcerated when I was young, so it kind of laid a foundation of brokenness in me and our relationship. But as I grew older, I began to understand him better and see him as just a human and not just this on this pedestal and almost impossible standard as a parent. And I'm grateful that I got to that point so that I was able to give him grace and a love that he didn't usually experience with people. That's all I got from my car.
Thank you so much, Enaya. I know this is really difficult. I do have a second question for you if you're up for it. What kind of support do you think young people in your situation need the most?
So in my opinion, I'd say transparency and support. Having a support system that builds your strength and keeps it real about the situation you're facing is essential to healing, in my opinion. It's important that your support system asks questions like, are you okay? How are you really feeling? You know, kind of forcing you to take down that I'm okay mask. Asking what's on your mind, or let's take a walk, or you know, let's do something to take your mind off things. That's what's important, is having a person that allows you to let your guard down and helps you to trust them and also to trust yourself and the feelings that you're feeling. Having a person like that helps you to understand yourself more and why you may be feeling or acting a certain way, and it'll help you to give yourself some grace also, because incarceration is one of those things where it's talked about, but it's not talked about and deeply. So it's important to get deep. Because it helps you to face incarceratory grief. I just found that word, incarceratory grief, but it means just grief of incarceration, because grief is loss and incarceration is loss. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Enaya. Well said. Fantastic job. Kimberly, thank you for your strength and openness. Thanks for being here today. Your first question is, how did the crime you experienced impact your sense of safety, trust, or healing? And so you're coming from a different perspective today.
A little bit, yeah. So details aren't always the most important, right? But I've always found it fascinating that American justice, we have a crime fits the punishment belief. So I will, in transparency, explain, I had a much younger brother who was 10 years younger than myself, and he was pretty brutally murdered. When we got to a place where we kind of looked over everything, by the time we were done, everything ends up just being labels on both sides of the fence, right? It's exactly what everybody in this panel has said. You get doom scrolling situations, you get parents with labels, you come out as a human being with just a label, and everybody's walking around trying to figure out who they are and where they belong. For me, because of, it was pretty brutal, the brutality of my brother's murder, he was much younger, there was a safety element that shifted, and I came from a place, and those of you that know me, I teach and train safety and defense. So I had a already pretty strong standpoint of what safety looks like, what brutality looks like. And this, while I was aware from my previous job and from experiences that I had, I knew the system was broken and damaged at best. I knew that there's a lot of gray where we want to call everything black and white. This gave a different tint to it. This was so extremely personal and so heinously done that for me, it was a matter of, now I've got, because I was a single mom, and it was just my parents. So watching your parents lay their only other child in the ground was really hard. Watching my daughters, who were raised by only me because we're a single parent home, do without their uncle was devastating. But at the end of the day, I'm like Allison, I share a very strong faith. I have a very strong belief in my Creator and in Jesus. And so it was a daily, we're gonna surrender what could be anger, and we're gonna ask beauty for those actions. I think for me, it was a true matter of, it's human. No matter what, whatever it is that someone else that is a human being intends to do to or toward me, it was this view that I sat in of and that I've taught my daughters of. No one can touch us without the sifting of the Lord first. And whatever was put in front of us, we're gonna do everything that we can to make it as good as possible. So I opened a defense and safety training business. Sides of the fence. I have people on both sides. Because some of us can't carry guns because of previous decisions we made, but that doesn't mean that you now can't be safe. So come and learn how to do that with a different set of tools. People who have had conflict, who have had violence, let's learn a different way other than anger and outward behavior that can cause even more pain, that can continue the cycle. So my ultimate end result was to create a business and hopefully a ministry ultimately out of it. So.
Thank you, that was fantastic. Second question for you, how has your definition of justice changed as a result of this?
I love that question. And I'll tell you why. So I'm very vulnerable, I'm a pretty transparent person, and I think that's part of why we exist as human beings. We're supposed to have connection, and we're supposed to look at each other and see something like-minded in the other person. So we all feel things, right? My sense of justice, so my background is law enforcement, very honestly, on a federal level. And I loved what I did. I did it because I wanted to protect and to serve, not for power. And one of the things that I saw that was a God-gifted opportunity for me was I got to look at the man, because our trial was over 2 years long, and it was in a different state. And then he was brought back here to serve additional time, and he got a lot of time, but then a lot of time off for good behavior. So when it was done and over, we did a 2-year trial. The man served approximately maybe 3.5 years in jail. At that point, so justice in my world, I go, but we'll give, excuse me, a drug offense a much longer sentence than a violent offender, right? So there's that aspect. But also, righteous judgment And you can sit across the table and look the convict in the face, or look the perpetrator in the face, or look the offender in the face, and have a lot of things that you might want to say. I literally, the last day of the trial and everything wrapped, the one thing I said was this: I don't care what your actual sentence is. My view is you're a thief. You stole time from me and my family. You stole an opportunity from my brother's life because he was 25. You stole from your family, whatever this amount of time and sentence is. To me, we look at the system as an opportunity to break things up. At the end of the day, it's all the same offense. We have lives that are impacted that end up resulting in grief-stricken loss. And a system that hasn't, until places like FailSafe existed, really understand we're releasing who we're gonna release back out. Let's give you guys and those families and those of us that are victims the tools to do what they need to move forward. So the sense of justice for me was, I can't control what you did, but I'll be darned if I'm gonna sit by on my watch and let it continue without you knowing. A, I extend forgiveness because I'm not gonna be wrapped up in that belief and in that anger. B, I want my daughters to know and recognize we're here, we're gonna conquer, and we're gonna walk through it. My parents deserve an opportunity of as much grace of a life-filled experience as they can have. And C, laws of lands need changed, and we need to find a bridge in that gap somewhere. Because I can sit here and I can look at Brian and I don't know what you did, but what I do know is you're a human. I can sit here and I can look at victims for people that have been on the same side of the fence and go, you're human. So justice is its own service of system, but we're humans. Meet each other with kindness and recognize it's broken, but fix it.
Thank you so much. All right, so we are 10 minutes to the top of the hour, but I do have one final question that I'd like to ask the entire panel. It's voluntary. If you don't feel like answering, that is okay. So my question is, despite your differences in terms of being a returning citizen or a loved one or being affected by crime, what shared hope do you have for the future of justice? Want to take that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, today is a very, thank you. Today is a special day, and I'm gonna explain to you why. First, this is an awesome opportunity, but when I talk about hope, and I talk about the things that happened to me, I can tell you that there's somebody in this room, actually the officer that arrested me is in this room right now. And he came to see me, because he's been here and I've been doing good things. And I can't not acknowledge. I'm gonna try not to get emotional, but the way they treated me and the things he spoke over my life at that time. He said to me, Brian, he worked with me as an officer. We worked well together. We had a lot of big things happen together, actually. And he said to me, I hope one day you use all of this and come back and help us out. And I'll never forget it. And I didn't hear him then. But as I progressed in my life and as more responsibility was given back to me, because I gave everything I knew to God, and when he gave it back to me, it was an anointing over it, so stuff started happening, right? When he gave it back to me, every level I remembered and I heard his voice. I heard his voice. Brian, I hope you get yourself together. I know you can do it, and come back and help us out. So I just want to say thank you, Joy, for being as kind as you were, for being as supportive as you've been over through the years. We haven't seen each other for 20-some years. So today was the first time I laid eyes on you, and I'm honored that you even came here to see me today. When you say hope for the future, if that's the mindset that's in the law enforcement around here, that's what we want. We want the guy that's going to show up. The guy that's not going to operate within the system and put people to the side. We don't serve a God that pushes us away. We don't need law enforcement to push us away. That's how I feel about it. So that's my hope.
Anybody else want to tackle that question? Because that was heavy.
Yes, absolutely.
no longer means just punishment, but restoration. A community that invests in people, not prisons and other rehabilitative facilities. A society that doesn't treat healing as a privilege, but as a birthright. Where children grow up and know that they are valued, supported, and protected.
So first, let me just say thank you all for sharing your truth. I think it's deeply personal. It's incredibly emotional. I think we're all humans, and everybody in here felt that. And it was very brave of you to come here voluntarily to do this. So thank you for being here. Let's continue to hold space for stories like these. And we're literally 5 minutes out. So I wanted to open the floor if anybody had any direct questions for anybody on the panel.
Save those cards, young lady. I want to take a picture of them.
All right, that's great.
For those that are impacted and welcoming your family back from being incarcerated, what's the best, I guess, practice, right, to welcome your family back in and to, I guess, invite them back to, the world that we're living in now, everything's so, depending on what, how you.
I hate the word patience, and I hate when people say pray for patience, because then it gets crazy. But you have to be patient. You have to remember that everybody's journey is different, and what might work for my family might not work for your family, or might work for your family. Listen to your heart. I'm a crier. That's all right. Nobody asks to be in this situation, and so many people look at the families and they're like, well, why are you still there? Why are you? And they don't understand. Like, I took a vow, and it's hard. And yeah, I'd like to walk away, but every time I go to walk away, somebody prays for me, or something happens, and I'm right back in that door again. Have a support system of people who have been through it before. Connect with FailSafe, connect with different people in your area that can help you. But I guess, especially since he's been home, it's only been 2 years now, like I said, trust your gut and keep your eyes open. Like if again, we didn't ask to be there, but if that's what you want, then you take the time and you take the steps and shut out the negativity of people saying, well, he did that, he's gonna do it again, or he's gonna lie to you, or be true to yourself and make sure that you have that relationship, like connection. And therapy, lots of therapy. And when therapy gets hard, I'm talking to a mirror right now. When therapy gets hard, don't run. Because that's honestly what I did. Stay in your counseling, because the hard stuff helps you get through it.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. Unfortunately, we got one more.
Thank you, Anita. Brian, you might have had your conversation with him today. I've heard about you for years, the pride this man has in your success and your strength and resilience. You have no idea. And Enaya, I'm always taking extra kids, extra nieces, extra nephews, even though auntie.